topic today is creating a winning digital marketing strategy. I'm going to start with Michael. If you can comment us about the trends you are seeing in the social media and where data is basically collected from the users or customers, and what you see as the future trends in this social media now.
Okay, for social media, for 2019, I think a lot of the trends are actually moving more towards video. Nowadays, no pictures or text is actually being more shared. You know, it's all about videos for the next probably 1 or 2 years. Now, the algorithms are also changing where they actually are tracking your comments, not really the likes and shares anymore. So all this content, we have to start creating content that actually engages with these people much more than just sharing an image or anything of that sort. I also believe that it's going to be much harder nowadays to actually push people from Facebook, Instagram, or any type of network back to your site. You know, they want the people on the actual networks. Obviously, there's going to be more ad spends and all that. So we need to start figuring out a way to actually own this kind of data. But other than that, you know, with digital anytime, you just have to keep staying relevant. So whatever I predict could change in 6 months or a year or anything of that sort.
Neeraj, anything you like to add to that? How you are seeing it in the markets you are operating, especially in India?
I think social media is starting. Is this on? Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Social media is playing a huge role now, right? So what is happening for us in India? What we are saying is a lot more engagement has started to happen through these social media channels. A lot of customer inquiries have started coming in. When we started engaging on the social media platforms, we didn't realize that the consumers are going to use that medium to reach out, not only from a sales process, but also from an information perspective, right? And I believe that role is changing continuously, and we have to be watchful for it. I believe we've still not understood the entire dynamics of it. I believe it's ever changing, yes.
Yes. We are also seeing some of the, for example, some of the malls and all these, even at the airports, a lot of the channels are now becoming digital, right? We are even ordering McDonald's through digital channels. We are even ordering, even when we go to a movie, we are buying everything through digital. But how is this even delivery of food? How is this, for example, the physical delivery channels and the digital delivery channels are managed? Ilyas, if you can, sorry, Michael, if you can add something to that.
Okay. Yeah, you see, this is the challenge. We always have to start figuring out how to get the physical and digital together. You know, in our case, we basically try to motivate the customers and everyone to stay online. You know, we put a fee for you to pay extra cash. You know, we want everything online, credit card. Now, the food business, like you were just saying, are perfecting it with these. It's all about being extremely user-friendly. You know, all these apps coming out, it's just easier to actually start using the app than actually calling someone and paying by cash. You know, and this is why you have the Ubers and all. The cash is a thing of the past that's happening. So any sort of kind of idea that we're trying to do, you know, we want to stick to the digital. So physical is really moving away from that.
See, you know,
Chirodip, if you can share.
Yeah, you know what happens is it's not really very difficult or very different from what used to happen before. But what's happening is all our customers are moving digital, and our job is becoming how do we serve those customers in the most best possible way. That's all we are bothered about. Now, if the customer is on a digital channel and he wants the fulfillment on a digital channel, we need to be able to deliver that. But there might be some other people who would want a mix of channels. Now, why am I telling this is it's very important now is to connect all the channels. So the customer might have seen you on a Google search and then landed on your website, but ordered over telephone. Now, we should be able to connect all the dots in understanding how the customer prefers the communication or which medium he wants it. And I think that's the challenge that most of us face in kind of making it an omni-channel experience.
Understand. And if there's anything to comment about the whole process we interact, the customer is interacting through a front end. For example, how is his back office and back end is managed for processing all this data?
So, you know what, I love this conversation whenever it starts, because whenever we talk about digital, the first question comes up is, how good is your website? How good is your social media? How good are you doing with your email campaigns? But I think it's time that we stop, take a step back and understand that it is not about all this front end that it matters. What matters is how seamlessly all of the different components are connected together. So typically, you would see that there are 3 reasons why a lot of companies would come up with a digital transformation strategy, but it would still fail. Number 1 is that there is no culture of change. So when we talk about digitization, we talk about change, and that change needs to be initiated from top to bottom. If that culture is not there, where people are allowed to fail, people are allowed to test new things, move over, you would not be able to succeed in that. The second thing that's very important is looking at the business model. You talk about digital transformation, everybody talks about, yes, we are doing this. Now, when you're doing this, are you really ready to take your business model and change it, turn it upside down, because that's what is more adaptable for the digital journey? Most of the times what happens is we take the current process, digitize it, and move on for optimization. That's where things kind of go haywire. And the third most important component is, we need to go beyond smaller automation of processes, automation of one segregate of ideas. So it is about the entire platform. You have to look through the entire funnel and see where all you can plug in the gaps. Until that happens, digitization always kind of ends up into something which is not fruitful.
Sure. Neeraj, I remember you saying you have sold about 100 million policies over last year. So over.
I'll just correct that. So we have about 100 million searches a year, and we sourced about 5 to 6 million policies last year. That was the data. So coming to your question, yes.
Yes.
Please.
So when you have this vast amount of data, how do you create the digital contents for targeting the right customers?
So there are 2 contexts to it. How we are using data in terms of addressing consumers better, and one. On the first part is we've analyzed this data because we have hundreds of thousands of calls, emails, chats happening every day with consumers. So what we're using this data is now to predict what type of a consumer product we should be pitching to the consumer. For example, in a motor insurance in India, now we are able to price the product on an hourly basis or basis a day, depending on what type of keywords did the consumer search, or what his actions were on the website, how much time is he spending on the website, what type of words is he using in his chat or an email. For example, if he's using too much of a cashless terminologies, then we would price the product accordingly, because we've seen, as per our data, the chances of his claims history is going to be higher. So we will price the product accordingly. Now, we have this humongous amount of data. So now we are going to the next level. So last year we sourced about 2 million policies where there was no human intervention of any kind. Those were done through a chatbot or a seamless process. A lot of consumers and a lot of companies are now talking about chatbots, right? Now, what is chatbot at the end of the day? Chatbot is how you are able to consume this data built into the system, and that's what chatbot is all about. Chatbot is not something which will artificially just get developed overnight, right? So we have this data which we are able to consume now, and with the chatbot coming in, what we realized is we were able to do so many policies. Now it becomes very easy for us to scale this, because it is not people dependent now anymore. So I can address 100 inquiries a minute or probably 1,000 inquiries a second. So that is how we are able to use big data. Yeah.
Understand. Michael, is there anything that you like to comment on that?
No, I love it. It's exactly right. Everyone talks about chatbot, and it really is the future. But like Mr. Neeraj said, once you learn how to use this chatbot, and there you go. It's all about scaling. Removing the human element of it, and you just scale. So you just spend more in marketing, a proper digital strategy, and then the whole back office is taken care of. I love it.
Yes. Chirodip, how about you? Is there anything to comment on the content creation?
I mean, so, chatbot is obviously the way of the future, because what happens is you get the best of both worlds. You're getting an interaction of a human nature, but actually it is managed on the back end, which is completely nothing to do with the human interaction. Also, it gives you an enormous ability to kind of customize each interactions that you are having. So without kind of having the decisioning behind, I mean, all the data behind it, you can give a rate, you can amend a policy, whatever needs to be done, that can be done on the chatbot. And I think that gives a huge amount of power in the entire execution piece.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And maybe a question on the financial industry. So how these social media networking platforms are connecting with the mainstream banking, for example?
So, again, I go back to the basics of it. Our customers are on these platforms. We cannot really ignore being in these platforms. But what most of the banks have learned now is that these interactions are not about your interaction with the bank. It is about how do you make their life better. What is, we usually coin a term called BAAP, which is basically BAP in Hindi, but that stands for banking as a platform. How can I give a platform in which everything gets integrated, and we are just support system in enabling you businesses? That's what Uber is doing. That's what everybody is doing. So until the idea of all these social media networks, it's not about advertising. It's about how do I interact with you so that I become a platform in providing you most of the things that you need in your life.
Understand. And is there any last comments, Neeraj, you like to make on how we as consumers, for example, or I also work in a financial institution, as financial institutions gather data, for example, and then how consumers, when they give their data, how they have to be either careful or how much they know about their data being used?
I believe data security has become a big word because of more integrated platforms coming in, right? See, we have to understand there are pros and cons to both sides of it, right? As consumers, we ourselves decide, okay, this is the service I want. But if you want certain type of service, you have to also accept the fact that this type of data will be required to customize it, right? So as we were talking about customization of a product or a service. Now, how do I customize a product or a service if I don't have the information? You can't expect me to customize something without sharing that information. So I believe there's a balance, and all the institutions are still trying to be on the positive side of it, and they're working towards ensuring that customer data is maintained in a secret manner, but also are able to utilize it and monetize it. I believe that's the way.
Right. Mike, we are coming to our time. Is there any last comments that you like to make about the digital marketing strategy and the session today?
Just digital marketing strategy in general? Yeah, in our case, with the agency we work with, it's all about, we set the right goals, find the personas that we want to target, know our key channels, and then you create a plan. But it's quite important not to stick to this plan, We're in an age where so many tools, chatbots, Medtronic, there's so much data coming in, so we just have to be really agile, Yes, we have a plan, but maybe 90% of the time, the plan doesn't work. So we save our money, try to fix it in a better way, understand which KPIs are being hit. So, in other words, you just have to stay relevant. This is the problem with digital. It just keeps going so quickly that stuff we learned last year is completely useless by now. And it's going to keep on going like this. So, it's all about relevancy for me.
Yes. Chirodip.
I probably would quote Sundar Pichai. He said the artificial intelligence is probably going to be as important as fire in human technology. If that's going to be there, then we are ready or not, this is going to happen. If this is going to happen, then we need to embrace it, get onto it, and start working on it. And that's what my message is.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.